A 9-year-old boy goes to the movies and mysteriously disappears, capturing the attention of newspapers all over America. Despite months of searching and numerous suspects, all efforts prove futile. Then, out of the blue, the police locate the boy on the other side of the country. They bring him back to Los Angeles, but his mother, Christine Collins, firmly believes that he is not her son. And thus, the story truly begins. What could have been a mere footnote in a crime chronicle 90 years ago turned out to be a far more intricate tale. In this video, I will delve into one of America's most enigmatic detective stories. How does the boy's mysterious disappearance intertwine with Hollywood? Several maniacs, corrupt police, issues of inequality, feminism, and even Angelina Jolie. This story encapsulates a multitude of elements: mystery, detectives, drama, and mind-bending plot twists. Actual events that unfolded nearly a century ago in Los Angeles. Even those who have never set foot in the City of Angels have a semblance of its essence. Hollywood, celebrity culture, lavish houses, palm trees, and beautiful people cruising in exquisite cars. All of this holds true, or rather it represents a fraction of the truth. Los Angeles possesses a darker side, marked by criminal neighborhoods, homelessness, and a long history of perplexing crimes. This town embodied these aspects almost a century ago, precisely when Christine Collins's life became entangled in a web of mysterious and chilling events. It all commences with the inexplicable disappearance of her son. 9-year-old Walter Collins requests money from his mother and heads to the nearest movie theater. Movies were a significant attraction during that time. In the 1920s, Los Angeles was emerging as the global film capital, marking the rise of the prominent Hollywood studios known today. It is worth noting that just a year prior, the first sound film was released. 100 years ago, there was less content, and people led simpler lives. Audiences were enthralled by the mere ability to hear actors' voices from the screen. Cinema, particularly Hollywood, will play a vital role in this story. On the afternoon of March 10th, Walter Collins goes to the movies. In the evening, his mother eagerly awaits his return for dinner, but he fails to appear. Any parent in such a situation would naturally grow concerned, but Christine is doubly worried. Firstly, Walter has always been a responsible child. Moreover, his mother, who worked as a telephone operator, spent a significant amount of time at work. Secondly, around that time, a maniac named William Hickman had been apprehended in Los Angeles. He had kidnapped and murdered a child, and his trial was underway. The entire city was aware of the incident, including Christine Collins. She reaches out to everyone she knows, but no one has seen her son. Christine then goes to the police station to file a report, but they inform her that a search cannot commence until 24 hours have passed since the disappearance. The police officer reassures Christine, mentioning that in most cases, children spend time with friends and return home within a few hours. However, 24 hours elapse, and Walter remains missing. The police launch an investigation, but testimonies from dozens of witnesses contradict one another. Some claim to have seen the boy with 2 suspicious individuals in a car, while others recall observing a pair of peculiar Italians lurking around Walter's house on the day before the kidnapping. The police meticulously search the nearby neighborhoods, yet no evidence or body is discovered. Then the police decide to delve deeper into the missing boy's father. Christine had a brief marriage to Walter Collins, the same name she and her young son shared. Collins Sr. is currently serving a prison sentence for robbery. He claims to have enemies in the criminal underworld who might be involved in their son's disappearance. The police investigate this lead, but it ultimately proves to be a dead end. Captain J.J. Johnson, the person in charge of Christine Collins' case, assumes a significant role in this narrative. The 1920s marked one of the most challenging periods in the history of the LAPD. Prohibition was in full effect. Corruption scandals plagued the department, and many city residents believed that the police were more involved in bribery, political maneuvering, and intimidation than in solving crimes. Throughout this time, the newspapers diligently followed the investigation, exerting constant pressure on the police. The search for Walter Collins continued for nearly half a year, yet no results were obtained. Then, astonishingly, the missing boy is discovered in a small town near Chicago, practically on the other side of the country. Local police officers find the lost boy and inquire about his identity and origin. The boy introduces himself as Walter Collins from Los Angeles. The authorities verify the information and confirm that the boy by that name is indeed missing. Christine Collins is informed that her son has been found, bringing her immense joy. However, she is left with the responsibility of covering the expenses for her son's transportation back home, which involves a journey across half the country. On the day of Walter's anticipated return, the Los Angeles train station becomes a bustling scene filled with journalists, photographers, and police officers, all eager to greet the missing boy. For the press, it's a sensational story, while for the police, it presents an opportunity to enhance their public image. As the train arrives, journalists stand ready with their cameras. The boy steps off the train, prompting a flurry of camera flashes. Christine Collins approaches, but shock overtakes her face. The boy who has arrived is not her son. She confides in Captain J.J. Johnson, who is present among the greeters, informing him that this is not her child. The reporters witness this awkward and perplexing moment. In an attempt to salvage the situation, Captain Johnson assures the reporters that the boy is indeed Walter, suggesting that Christine is simply overwhelmed and disoriented after 6 months of searching. He persuades her not to cause a scene and to take the boy back home. It is important to understand that 100 years ago, the United States was not an advanced country in terms of feminism. Women had only recently obtained the right to vote through a constitutional amendment. The country was predominantly patriarchal, making it incredibly challenging for women to refuse a man's authority, especially a representative of the government. Captain Johnson effectively coerces Christine Collins into taking the boy home under the pretense of giving it a try, hoping that she would overcome her shock and recognize him as her son. The boy himself adds to the confusion. He continuously smiles, responds to the name Walter, addresses Christine as his mother, and tells reporters how happy he is to be back home. A preserved photograph captures the moment right after their meeting at the train station, an unsettled woman and a seemingly content boy. Christine reluctantly takes the boy home. We can compare photographs of the real Walter Collins and the boy who arrived. While there might be some resemblance, a birth mother, even after 6 months, would undoubtedly notice the difference. However, no one seems to raise concerns about this. The journalists get their story, the police close the case, everyone appears satisfied except for Christine Collins. Just imagine the level of turmoil engulfing this unfortunate woman's life. Everyone around her, the police, the reporters, insist that the boy is hers. There's a child running around her house, persistently calling her mom, but she remains steadfast in her belief that he is not her son. It's a preposterous scenario reminiscent of a plot from Franz Kafka. At this critical juncture, Christine is desperate to find tangible evidence to validate her belief and reassure herself that she is not losing her sanity. In the evening, she provides the boy with her son's pajamas. However, they turn out to be too long for him. It becomes clear to Christine that she is not mistaken. The boy is undoubtedly an impostor, but what is most distressing is that the real Walter Collins is still missing. Unfortunately, the police have already declared the case closed, and given the circumstances, they will never concede their error. Therefore, Christine must take matters into her own hands and prove that the found boy is a fraud. Christine takes the boy to a dentist who confirms that the structure of his teeth does not match the dental records of Walter Collins. Armed with this evidence, she confronts Captain J.J. Johnson, who, instead of admitting their mistake, decides to take drastic action. He has Christine forcibly admitted to a mental institution. During that era, the police had the authority to institutionalize individuals without requiring a doctor's evaluation. The law permitted this if the police deemed the person mentally unfit and a threat to society. Christine finds herself confined within the walls of the asylum, feeling utterly helpless. At this point, it seems as though all hope is lost. Trapped inside the hospital, she realizes that she could spend the rest of her life locked away. Meanwhile, the journalists, hungry for more information on this high-profile case, remain unsatisfied. They are determined to uncover how the miraculously discovered boy ended up on the opposite side of the country and what he had been doing during the 6 months of Walter's disappearance. However, the child is unable to provide coherent answers to any of their inquiries. The police then proceed to interrogate the boy, and after some time, he confesses that his real name is Arthur Hutchins. Unlike Walter, he is actually 12 years old. Arthur reveals that he had run away from his father and stepmother's home. While eavesdropping on a conversation at a cafe, he heard about the missing boy from Los Angeles and noticed the resemblance. Recognizing this as an opportunity, Arthur presented himself to the police as Walter Collins, fueled by his admiration for movies and his dream of reaching Hollywood. Following Christine Collins' release from the asylum and her acknowledgement of the impostor, she files a lawsuit against Captain Johnson. The court orders the defendant to pay $10,000 in damages, which in modern terms amounts to over $100,000. However, Captain Johnson never fulfills this financial obligation. Meanwhile, the LAPD receives a report concerning unusual activities occurring at a farm near Los Angeles. A girl who suspects her uncle's mistreatment of her younger brother expresses concerns about her 15-year-old sibling's safety. This case unfolds in Wineville, a small community. When the police investigate, they discover a 15-year-old boy named Sanford Clark. Through extensive interrogation, they unearth a horrifying truth. Sanford claims that his uncle is a serial killer. Walter Collins was not the sole missing child in recent years within this region of California. Thanks to witness testimonies and gathered evidence, the police successfully apprehend those responsible for these atrocious crimes. They are identified as 21-year-old Gordon Northcott and his mother, Sarah. They stand accused of kidnapping and murdering numerous boys, with reports indicating that the number of victims surpasses 20. These heinous acts took place on the Northcott farm in Wineville. This infamous case, known as the Wineville Murders, has secured its place in history. However, despite widespread speculation, the defendants are officially charged with only 3 murders, including that of Walter Collins. Both Gordon Northcott and his mother, who were mentally ill, provided confessions that were later retracted. Prior to his execution in 1930, Gordon Northcott agrees to meet with Christine Collins to disclose the truth about her son. However, upon her arrival, he refuses to see her and maintains his innocence. This unexpected turn of events sparks hope within Christine Collins, who starts to believe that her son might still be alive. Additionally, the police have never been able to locate a body definitively linked to the missing Walter. In 1930, Gordon Northcott is executed, while his mother receives a lengthy prison sentence. 5 years later, in 1935, a press report surfaces about the miraculous discovery of a boy who vanished in 1928. According to the account, he had been abducted by the Wineville maniac but managed to escape alongside another kidnapped individual, allegedly Walter Collins. Unfortunately, no further information or verification regarding this story emerges. Christine Collins tirelessly continues her quest to find her son until the end of her life. She passes away alone, 36 years after Walter's disappearance. Unfortunately, history often tends to remember the names of the perpetrators rather than the victims. Over time, Christine Collins' tragic fate was largely forgotten. However, Hollywood played a significant role in bringing her story back into the spotlight. In the early 2000s, screenwriter Joseph Straczynski received a call from a friend who worked at Los Angeles City Hall. He learned that a large number of unnecessary documents were scheduled for destruction, some of which might be of interest to a professional screenwriter. Among these documents, Joseph stumbled upon the records of the Christine Collins case hearing. As he delved into the material, he discovered the heart-wrenching details of a woman's relentless pursuit to find her son, despite the odds stacked against her. In 2008, the movie Changeling was released, with Angelina Jolie portraying the role of Christine Collins. This powerful film sheds light on her story. If you're interested, I recommend watching this impactful movie. That concludes our discussion. If you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing to the channel, clicking the notification bell, and we'll see you in the next video.